NRG just lost horribly to MIBR, but the person they lost to was not who you would expect. After all, you hear MIBR, you think, oh, Aspas dominated. And don't get me wrong, he did, especially on Icebox. But on Haven, the destroyer of NRG was actually Verno on his revenge game. And to be honest, he was plenty vocal today. He told NRG he had them in their pocket. He told FNS he was effing lost. So today, let's go ahead and break down how Verno dominated NRG on his revenge game. And honestly, it was deserved, right? All the stuff they were saying, he wasn't vocal, he was a bad influence, he didn't take the game seriously. Look at where he is now, and NRG now have to play Lev next week in an elimination game for the 4th seed and final seed in playoffs. It's the bonus round for NRG, and honestly, I like what they do here. As you can see, MIBR are going for an A hit pretty aggressively, but Mata just decides, okay, I'll push up Garage off of the Omen Paranoia that you could see on the minimap there, and he's able to get a kill onto Artisan, dash out, and boom, you have numbers. NRG were actually very good at getting numbers this series. They had 10 first bloods to MIBR's 9. The issue is that they had 6 rounds to MIBR's 13, which, as you may know, is not optimal. But when you have the first blood, not only did you obviously gain the numbers advantage, but that's all the breach utility down. Verno just has his drone left to try and enter onto this A site, and to be honest, MIBR aren't feeling it. Saucy had a great quote from when people were calling Aspas a baiter about a year ago, where he said that he told Aspas to not dash in on loud, prime loud, unless everything was right. Unless all the utility was right, he felt comfortable dashing in. That is some of the reasons that people call Aspas a baiter. However, here, Aspas doesn't feel like it's right. He doesn't have any utility. Verno just has his salvos and then that drone. Could you execute here? Sure. But is it good? Not really. So they head towards the Joe Biden of Valorant. Now, FNS is pushed up into this corner, but I want you to take a quick look at this lurk on the minimap from Cortesia. He's gotten all the way up in Garage, broken a trip, and honestly has good timing on site. Everything relies right here on if FNS can get a kill and stay up numbers, or if he dies in this position. So let's look at what happens.
Yeah, that is Verno.
Cage triggered.
Time for the lead here to step up and find his one.
With some elite aim, FNS is able to kill Verno. And again, you're probably wondering, wait, FNS got a kill here? Did Lionzblade show the right clip? Contrary to popular belief, I'm not just an FNS hater. When he does good things, I will say good boy. But in a 3v4 situation now, 2 people are flanking, they jump over the trip. However, Xenom, very aware here, good job on him, equalizes the numbers, now lets them know, hey, we have a flank. But Ethan on the Yoru, and honestly, as Yoru did very well for them, got a lot of first bloods, did what a Yoru on Haven is supposed to do. Mata gets a kill on Xenom on the flank, boom, 3-0. And now you probably think, is this the right map? What you said NRG got 6 rounds. How is that the case? Just wait. MIBR call a timeout, and the call is pretty simple. They've realized by hitting all the sites they have, FNS has to be C, and he gets Temet movemented by a drone. I understand that the drone's invisible, I really do, but that just looks so gross. Anyways, he has an anti-Aspas entry trip, but the issue is that Aspas used his dash on a wall a little while back. As you can see here, he procs it, and then dashes into a wall trying to get into the cubby. But it might be artists that, okay, we don't want to go here. They've clearly stacked it. They've kind of read what we want to do. So let's go ahead, we'll leave Shenum over here in cubby inserted, and now we're going to go ahead and explore options. Brock, by the way, whipped out an Odin and almost gets another kill onto Cortesia. MIBR, they think here, and they're like, okay, we've seen Cypher C, we know that Mata's there as well after he gets this kill onto Shenum. We need to go now, without smokes, without anything. We have to hit a site, make a decision, and they do. Going C would be a disaster, so they go B. Now, the thing is, with Ethan's ult here, they should have lost this round. This round should already be over. Ethan's going to get another kill, just further hurting them. But then something interesting happens. Verno, in a 4v2 situation, locks in. First killing Ethan, then the old man, now it's a 2v2, but Artson is so low that he's going to almost instantly just die here to Mata. Not much you can do about that. Verno ults, he has salvos online, and Mata doesn't know where Verno is. He thinks he's here, but he doesn't clear this corner. Then, with him being so close by, I saw a comment about this when I was streaming actually. Sometimes those salvo, like people go, oh, why didn't you stick the salvos? Salvo travel time depends on obviously how far away you are. So these salvos definitely would have killed Sam if he tried to stick. Now, he runs away, and then Verno, with the cockiness of someone who knows that they've been wronged, jumps in the smoke to finish the 4K clutch to grab the game back from NRG. I talked a lot about NRG kind of throwing first bloods, but when this is counted as a first blood, I don't count it as throwing a first blood. He just gets traded out. That isn't an impact first blood. It doesn't matter. But MIBR getting an advantage very quickly before it then gets ripped away from them. FNS here, I truly don't know what he's doing. I want you guys to understand the gravity of what he did. He shot Artson and then just turned tail and run. He runs away having no idea Verno's there. Verno gets another kill, and it's a 2v1, Verno and Brock, and I really don't want to do this, but if someone could, you know, pop the stats over the match of Verno and Brock on screen, it's not a pretty comparison. Now, don't get me wrong, I think Brock is a fine initiator, and I think that once he gets a little bit more used to the tier 1 stage, he can even be a good initiator. But Verno on MIBR is elite, and from what you hear online, I mean, the coach pretty much got axed, right? Bonker left NRG because he was in support of Verno. I just really think it was kind of a dumb decision to make to cast Verno aside for an IGL who's publicly stated he's only playing 1 more year. It seemed like Ethan and Mata were the only ones shooting today, and they kind of were. They were the only players over 21 kills in the match, but Ethan played a underrated Yoru here on Haven, and he's been playing Yoru ever since 2024 NRG, right? He played it in kind of the way we do now, as like an initiator to kind of help sub people up, but he does picture perfect what you're supposed to do on the Yoru. Get the kill, get out. And it conditions MIBR to do something that I'll show you right here. As you can see, the very next round, MIBR also want to push down this space, but because Ethan's shown that he will be here, he's not scared to cross, he's forced to go ahead, use that aftershock right there, piece of utility you could have used for the site. And I mean, again, that is what Yoru can do. I know some people have asked me to make a video kind of explaining why Yoru has been a pick. I don't know if I ever will do that, but that is just one of the things Yoru is so good at, is he can be literally anywhere. Now, MIBR are going to win this round, so don't mistake that as, you know, that's a round-winning play, but it's the things like that that make teams really good if you have someone who understands their role. Again, Ethan, been on Yoru since 2024. He played it in, I think, what the closest role is now to, like, current Yoru, right? A lot of people played a more aggressive Yoru if it was played back in the day, but he, I think, would be the closest to, you know, an information Yoru in 2024, which is kind of what it's here for in 2025. Now, don't get me wrong, you can still be aggressive, but overall, Yoru is used more as a supportive duelist. Now, FNS has 2 major weaknesses in both attack and defense calling. His attack calling, he's on a sentinel, right? He's not on that initiator role, which is optimal for the attack call. His defense calling, he's on a sentinel, which, you know, you have to be able to aim in a lot of situations, get your 1, get your 2 before you die. Now, 4v3 situation here for MIBR, and FNS's attack calling was not good. In fact, it was horrible. They didn't win a single round, and I just don't know what you can do. You can't put him on initiator. He's not been an initiator player on this roster, and I don't think anyone else really could play that sentinel role. So what do? I don't know, man. Like, to be honest, I genuinely do not know, but I also know this. I don't want to be a guy who's making predictions about other people like that, but there is a very decent chance that he retires if they lose to Lev. If he is 8th to 12th place, not even able to get to playoffs, I think there's a very decent chance he retires. I don't know what in the world NRG would do, so go ahead, comment below what IGL you think they would pick up, whether it be from tier 2, if you think Sam would leave with him, whatever that might be. But yeah, I mean, this is just, you're a detriment to the team, and I hate to say that, really, but you need to be getting your 1 there. Like, that's a kill that can get you the pistol that can start snowballing, and instead Mata is 16-4 right now. He ends up losing this game embarrassingly. So now, of course, whenever you lose horribly on one side, you look at 2 things. You look at the pistol, and obviously they lost it if you're doing that bad, so then you look at the bonus. Now, what I really don't get is FNS almost never was lurking on this side. He did it a lot on Icebox, much to honestly his benefit. I mean, he got a lot of good lurks done on Icebox, but here, when he was on a character arguably better on the lurk, right, Cypher versus KJ, he was not lurking almost at all. Like, there were very few rounds where he would lurk, and what that does for MIBR is it makes them focus fully on the people on site. If you lurk even once or twice in the early rounds, it makes the other team paranoid about, okay, he could be lurking. Is he behind me? I don't know. As you can see, Treasure here checking flank. Is he there? I don't know. but that goes away after a couple rounds of there not being a lurk. Now I understand maybe you want to do that and then get one big lurk off, but that didn't really happen, to be quite honest with you. And again, we're playing off-site spam. Now don't get me wrong, C is a site that's almost impossible to hold, but it just doesn't work out with the spam. Everyone dying, and it's 6-9. One thing that I really like from the side of MIBR is they have Aspest set up with the operator on C and the Cypher utility in Garage and B. And why I like that is I'm a big believer in that the op is pretty much the, ultimate weapon in Valorant. I think that it's very hard to argue that. My own coaching / analyst style relies very heavily on defense, win a couple rounds, get the op in your player's hands as fast as you can. Because it's something, and again, I always use terrible rounds to explain things, but because it's something that controls so much space. Now again, Aspest dies here. So again, not great from Lionzblade on explaining, my whole mentality with that, but the Cypher utility is on B and in Garage because they trust Aspest to hold that space with the op. Obviously, again, didn't work out here. But when you're able to do that, you can use that util in other places. Now, NRG were not able to do that because, to be honest, their economy was never good enough. They never really won enough rounds to consistently get an op going, right? If you die with an op, get another one, stuff like that. You have to have a really good defense. And again, they don't, because they had a really bad game overall. And again, it just needs, something has to change. I don't know what. I don't think FNS is randomly going to become Demon 1. I don't think he's randomly going to have the mechanics of an Immortal player. That would be an upgrade, honestly. And something has to give. On this last round, NRG are slamming C. However, MIBR have nobody on C. Instead, thinking NRG were going to go B because it's an eco round, go for those close quarters. But instead, they go C. Good adaptation here from NRG. Not really an adaptation, just a choice. But, I mean, it instantly falls apart. First off, no lurk. There's no threat of anything. As you can see, Breach is turning around a couple times. That's it. And then he instantly gives us space because he hasn't been lurking. Aspas puts the movement on Mata. Again, I love Aspas's movement. I would say he probably has the best movement in the game, him or less, and I would lean Aspas towards that. But I mean, as soon as it's this situation, right, you're not going to win. And it honestly was just kind of embarrassing. So overall, takeaway, I've started doing this at the end. My takeaway from this is MIBR are true contenders, and I think that Verno is going to be able to thrive outside of them. I'm not going to say if dropping was a bad idea. I may make head motions, but I won't say anything. Hope you had a wonderful day. Hope you liked watching the video. Subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Peace.